Let's bring together some of what we learned about operators with coercion and look at another way that these concepts can be used to our advantage in a pattern that's commonly used again in many libraries, frameworks, and other good JavaScript code. I again have a blank app.js file, and I'm going to create a new simple function called greet. And it's going to take a name as a parameter. And what it's going to do is simply say console.log hello, then name. And then I'm going to call greet, and I'll pass my name, Tony. All right, let's run this, and it says hello, Tony. Pretty simple. But what if I called greet without a parameter? Unlike many programming languages, JavaScript doesn't care. This won't throw an error. It will simply pass nothing to name. So if I console.log name, and then this, let's see what happens. Look, kind of as we expected, right? Undefined. Because what happens when the function is invoked? A new execution context is created, and this variable, which is essentially created inside the function, though the value is passed during its invocation, is initially set when the memory space is set up to undefined. So JavaScript simply ignores the fact that I called the function without the expected parameters and simply says, that's okay. It's undefined. It's already in memory. It has a value, and you simply didn't give me a new one. And then that hello, well, look what happened there. That's a problem. You see, the plus operator, when it saw a string and undefined, that's the value in name, it coerced name, the undefined primitive type, to a string. And so it literally coerced it to the string undefined, and then put them together, concatenated them. That is not ideal behavior. But it isn't totally unexpected behavior in that we now understand how operators and coercion works. But what should we do? What if I want a default value for this parameter? Well, the next version of JavaScript, ES6, is actually going to introduce syntax to set the default value. But if you look at current JavaScript code, and a lot of legacy code inside a lot of software, you'll see a neat trick for setting a default value. So I can say that name equals name or, and then I'll put, let's say, your name here. Let's say that's my default value. So what's going to happen if nothing, if undefined, ends up being the value of name when the function is called? Well, remember that operators are just functions that return values. So what does the OR operator in JavaScript return when you pass different parameters to it? It actually does something kind of neat. It doesn't just return true or false. Let's take a look. If I clear this, what if I tried true or false? Well, it returns true. That makes sense. If I return undefined or hello, it doesn't return true or false, it returns hello. It returns, in this case, the value that can be coerced to true. Because if I coerce hello, a non-empty string, it's true. So that's what the OR method returns. If I put hi and hello, it gives me hi because it will just return the first one, that coerced to true. So the OR operator's special behavior, in that if you pass to it two values that can be coerced to true and false, it will return the first one that coerces to true. 1 can be converted to true. 0 converts to false when converting to Boolean. So I can use the OR to say if something does not exist, or is an empty string, or a null, give me this back instead. Null or hello. Empty string or hello. See how that works? Operators are functions that return values. That's why I can use this line of code and say, well, name is equal to name, the value that I currently have, or some default value. And what will happen if name is undefined, or empty string, or null, then this OR function, this operator, returns the default value to this equals operator. So what will happen is OR will be run before equals, because if I look at my precedence, the assignment operator equals has a lower precedence than OR, so OR is run first. So OR is run. If this is undefined, I'm going to end up returning this value, and then the equals is run. So let me call greet twice. Greet Tony, and then greet no parameter. When Tony is passed, this will be true because it's not an empty string or undefined, so the string Tony will coerce to true, and that's what will be returned from this OR. So name will still be set equal to Tony, just set equal to Tony again. And the second time, this is undefined, so the OR operator will return this value, which will be set equal to name. So what would I expect to see? Hello, Tony, and then what? In the second call. Let's look. That's right. Hello, Tony, and then hello, the default value, your name here. So I use this one line OR expression to set a default value. Now I could have done this with an if statement, but that's a lot more typing. This is a pretty neat and clear trick that makes your code very readable when you understand it. Now you still have to be careful with 0. If I was to call greet and pass the number 0, that converts to false also, so I'd get the default value again. So you do have to be careful about 0 again. But nonetheless, that's a side case. In most cases, this is just fine to do and is really a neat thing that you can do in JavaScript.